Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
So, from economic socialism to capitalism. That was very neat, wasn't it? It succeeded in making the poor poorer and the rich richer. At least that's what most of us believe, according to a YouGov poll carried out in 7 countries, including Britain and the United States. The bad news for capitalism in the survey is that there's an almost universal belief that the world's biggest businesses have cheated and polluted their way to success, with barely 10% of respondents thinking big businesses are clean. Substantial majorities in all 7 countries surveyed think the poor get poorer in capitalist economies. And the populations of Britain, Brazil, Germany and America don't expect their children to be richer, safer and healthier. But the good news is that for all of the negativity towards capitalism, more people in all 7 nations believe that the free enterprise system is better at lifting people out of poverty than government. There is a widespread recognition that entrepreneurs and business leaders are just as important to society as doctors, teachers and charity workers, although they're more popular. And the overwhelming majorities in all 7 countries recognise that strong community and family life underpin a strong economy. These are all findings in a new report being published tomorrow by the Legatum Institute, and it's due to be launched by Chancellor George Osborne, no less. Tim Montgomerie is speaking on their behalf, and he joins us now. Welcome to the Daily Politics. So, broadly, has capitalism failed?
I don't think it's failed in fundamental senses. We're living through a period where poverty around the world is falling at an historically unprecedented rate. But actually, if you ask people, particularly in advanced nations, whether hunger's rising or poverty's rising, they think it is. So capitalism, although it's very good at advertising soap powder and cars and computers, is very bad at selling itself. Its achievements are very unknown. And the fact that most people in Britain, most people in America, most people in Germany think the poor are getting poorer, when the reverse is the case, shows that capitalism has a terrible PR problem, even though it's a very successful system.
Right, we've just heard from Liam Byrne. They're going to, or he wants to concentrate Labour's fight on inequality, fighting inequality. I mean, isn't it true that in highly developed countries there is a widening, ever-widening gap between the poorest and the top 1%?
There's a mixed picture. Within some advanced societies, there is a widening gap between the top and the bottom. In the world as a whole, we're becoming more equal because the likes of China, India, Africa are beginning to see their incomes rise.
But don't people just want to focus on what's happening where they are?
Of course they do. But one of the opinion poll findings in this Legatum Institute poll that was conducted for us by YouGov asks, what are the big problems? What do you want government to focus on? Fighting poverty, fighting unemployment, or reducing inequality and bringing the super rich down to size. And by overwhelming majorities, people want the focus on unemployment and poverty. So the danger for Liam Byrne and the Labour Party, if they go down this route, is actually they're going, while people worry about inequality, it's not their priority.
Right. Do you think, you know, from your perspective, that actually the Tories should be doing more about trying to close the gap between the top, the highest earners, and those at the very bottom?
Absolutely not, no. I think that you don't want to cut down the tall poppies. You want them to grow and to flourish because they spend the money that helps lift everybody else up.
Is there so much evidence that trickle-down economics really works that effectively for those at the lower end of the pay scale?
Well, if you don't have an active economy, the people at the bottom are the ones who suffer more. This is the argument the Chancellor's been making, that the thing that hits the poorest in society most is a failing economy. And if you frighten off your wealth creators, your economy will fail. I don't think the government should be concerned about inequality. It should be concerned, exactly as Tim was saying, about issues relating to unemployment and to people living in poverty and giving them the routes out of that, which I think our welfare reforms have been doing and our education reforms
But is the government, and was the last government, too close to big business that hoarded its money, that didn't spend, didn't invest, didn't do anything to, or very much to help unemployment at that particular time, when it should have been? The government didn't seem to have any impact on that.
In a word, yes. Yes, absolutely too close. And Michael Gove, an event at the Conservative Party conference, he made a distinction, Michael Gove, the Justice Secretary, made a distinction between the deserving rich and the undeserving rich. We used to have this traditional distinction between the deserving poor and the undeserving poor. And he talked about, for example, bankers who, during the good times, closed down the accounts of small business people if they didn't pay on time, were very tough on the little guy, but when they ran into trouble, they were bailed out by the taxpayer. And there are a lot of businesses, the fossil fuel industry, the bankers, who have got too close to government. Government helps them out, and there's lots of ladders on the way up, but there's not enough snakes on the way down. And if capitalism is to be seen to be fair, the same rules that apply to the little guy must apply to the big guy. And that's one of the approaches that we're taking in the Legatum Institute manifesto, to ensure that capitalism works for everyone and the rules are equal. And at the moment, that's not how capitalism is seen.
We'll watch it closely. To Montgomerie, thank you.
I've been getting away with it all my